It's like crazy desire to lick my microphone right now.
Why do you? Is it you just feeling drawn to lick your microphone right now?
Yeah, because it smells like the queef.
It smells okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the three-way. I'm here for the gangbang.
That's right.
Hi.
So this is the pre-party podcast.
You can come in. That's right. So, what's the name of your show, Kyle?
Current Space with Kyle Kingsbury.
Current Space with Kyle Kingsbury. We have Connor Moore.
The Pleasure Monkey podcast.
Pleasure Monkey podcast. I'm Mike Bledsoe.
With the Mike Bledsoe show.
Yeah, with the Bledsoe show.
Bledsoe show. Don't you? It's so convenient that your names just sound so smooth with the word "show" after it.
It worked out.
Well, it rhymes too, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people were like, "Why don't you just do the Bled show?" And I was like, "Eh."
That could,
I don't like that.
You know, my first podcast, I had a podcast called Bledsopia in the beginning, and a lot of people really liked that, but a lot of people they just didn't get it, so it didn't work.
Huh. What was it about? Same stuff?
It was the same
Same stuff. But I took like a 2-year break.
You had a little hiatus, then
I
brought it
was
back?
just like, when I come back, I'm such a different person. We'll just start over at the beginning.
I don't think everyone's a different person 2 years later, but you do enough psychedelics that you've completely transformed metaphysically into a completely different being.
It helps. Yeah. Well, there's. It's interesting you say that because, when we look at kids and they're growing up and they're going through phases, right? We go, "Oh, that kid's a little shithead. He's just in a phase." Right?
Yeah.
And then, but like...
I get a little shithead right now, so I can relate to that.
But if you're 25 and you're being a shithead, people don't go, "Oh, he's just in a phase." They're like, "That dude's a shithead."
Yeah, that
and
dude's a real asshole.
And he's going to be a shithead till the day he dies, is the assumption. And that's how we think. And, we as adults go through phases as well, And I think that we all have a natural pace that we go at. And some people are pacing a little bit quicker than others, for sure, depending on how open they are to new different opportunities and experiences. But I think once you have an awareness of what it means to go through a phase and to go through a phase shift, once you have the awareness of a phase shift and you've had conscious awareness of the phase shift as it's happening, you now know how to go through new phase shifts. And
exactly.
It's and there's one thing to like tweak your personality or tweak how you frame experiences and and how you operate in the world, and it's another thing to become a completely different person and let go of an entire part of yourself that might be attachment to a large part of your ego, something like pride. Like I've completely let go of pride. It's like, whoa, that's a fucking huge phase shift. No. Some people have pride about this or pride about that, but if you just let go of pride in general, or something I let go of recently in the last few years, I would say pride and possession are two things in which I've had huge phase shifts over in the last couple of years that fundamentally shifted everything in my life. And so, as you're talking about changing, there's people are always changing little by little by little, but a phase shift is something that's like a fundamental part of who you think you were that gets completely demolished.
Almost like a graduation. You don't necessarily need to go back after that. You're different moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, I actually had a really transformative experience. My partner and I, or my girlfriend and I, did mushrooms together. And we went to a place where I had, in my kind of like the time in my life where I'd put myself in a place where I had very little and I knew I was driving constantly for fulfillment. I spent a lot of time in what's called the Greenbelt in Austin, Texas, which is at the woods in the middle where there's a stream and it's beautiful, and I would do psilocybin mushrooms, wander down there. That's actually where the name like Connor Wanders came from. And I spent so much time down there because I would wander as like mental and physical wandering, me and my dog, and we would just go down there all the time. And I just gave myself 3 months, and I was like, took a very stoic approach. Like, I'm going to drive my old Land Cruiser with no AC and no stereo. I'm going to read as many books as I fucking get my hands on, and I'm going to meditate and figure out what the fuck actually makes me tick and what makes me full as a human being. And I went down, I spent 3, 4, 5 days a week down there sometimes for hours. And that was a place where I'd really almost like had this nostalgia for it and kind of almost longed for this thing that was a part of me. And I went down there again, and this was actually our first mushroom trip together. We were really doing it as a bonding experience. And we were kind of walking around, and I had this weird feeling, like this weird like I didn't belong there anymore. Like it wasn't right. Like something was just off. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad feeling, but as I'm kind of walking, and we had some quiet time, and I'm kind of walking in the sun, just rock to rock like I always did. It was like, oh, this was a place of growth for me at that time, and now it's time to take a step forward. And it was like that reconciliation of this. I had attached all of these things to this one place and had this nostalgia for it, but I was kind of grasping for it to be something it wasn't. It wasn't. That was me that was down there. That was my decision to grow. But now it was time to take a step forward and move on and open up myself to so many possibilities, because I was kind of still holding on to a little bit to something that was in the past. And I realized I just kind of phased out of that part of my life, and had a lot of gratitude. I just felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude for that one place, and it was nice. It was a nice idea and a nice shift, and I saw how that had also played out again and again in my life as I've developed through phases, and I feel very much that I'm on like a new phase of my personal professional development, and it's nice to feel almost free.
Yeah.
Story
I don't
time.
really, I feel like it's kind of hard to recognize in the moment necessarily, like without labeling shit like, oh, I'm in this point of my life and name it this thing, and that kind of thing. Like it's so much easier in hindsight to look back and be like, oh, this is when I started this out career-wise, or when I was with this person relationship-wise, and that's when I first got into this, plant medicine or this form of meditation or whatever the case is. But then you can see those shifts down the timeline, but it's very hard for me to be like, I'm working on this right now. Like I no longer want to hold on to anger, and I'll never be angry again when I release that. It's like, maybe not,
Yeah, I've never known exactly what I was working on until the work was done.
Until after the fact. Yeah.
You realize like later on, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you go into your work with intentions. I want to, what's keeping me from loving more deeply or something like that, and then you find out, oh, there was that thing that happened when I was 5 years old. That's the thing I actually have to work on. Yeah. Is my relationship with somebody who's not even has anything to do with this thing, or my relationship with somebody who may not even be alive anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that work right there was extremely healing, and because of all that, it opened up it opens up possibility.
Yeah.
So when we get attached to, when we put meaning on an experience we had in the past, it just closes down possibility in the future.
Yeah, you're rooted to that belief or that feeling, that emotion that manifested itself into your current actions.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Real good shit.
Connor, for people who don't know, have you been on Kyle's show yet?
I've never been on Kyle's show.
So
it's our first time. We've been trying to do this for a while.
Should we do a quick bio of how you got here?
Should we just go round robin and just see who was
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll start at the beginning. I grew up in a real small town in North Texas, which kind of it was nice looking back now, as we were just talking about, to see how closed off I was from a lot of things until I got older. So I was kind of a late adopter to a lot of things. Like for example, I didn't smoke marijuana until I was 20. Like I hadn't even seen it really.
Oh, yeah. I was the same boat. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I was a late adopter, and I got to come into these things a little bit more mature. But I say, people ask me what my biggest accomplishment is in life, and I think it's that breaking away from that small town mentality and that Bible Belt kind of really unhealthy relationship with the masculine and unhealthy relationship with religion and spirituality. Mm-hmm. And I kind of rebelled against that in my early 20s. From there, I was at Texas State University and had a great time. I got to learn a lot of people. I was going to learn about a lot of people, but got to see, it was my first time to see people for what they were, and in the whole scheme of things. Like it was this very. That was when I started to identify that people had kind of compartmentalized themselves into, like, at that point it was like fraternities and independence and this group and that group, and I saw like that everyone was really just acting out the same patterns within their existence. So from there, went to CrossFit coaching and playing that game. That was a really fun time in my life. Did that for 7 years. So I was a CrossFit competitor for 7 years and owned a gym for a little while. And that was when I started to really, really connect with people and working with people. That was awesome. That was probably one of the most transformative, like, half decades of my life, learning a lot about myself and a lot about how I can present myself to other people and create change. From then, went to hang out with and work with my buddy Aubrey Marcus at Onnit, and was there for a year doing content marketing and really immersing myself in personal development through plant medicines a lot, and then all the other practices as well, meditation, and just personal development in any way I could, and sharing that. I've always been one that wanted to share what I was going through and been very transparent. And that turned into the Pleasure Monkey podcast. So Pleasure Monkey podcast, and then I do a program I call Lifestyle Design, where I help other people design their life around their authentic values and help people express themselves authentically and find alignment within their life.
Boom.
Is that a decent bio?
I
Yeah.
like it.
I've
Dude,
never
you did a
delivered
good
it that
job.
way.
That was actually nice. That was really smooth.
Yeah, I like that. It sounds like you've done that before.
That was the first time I've done it that way. I went all the way from the origin.
Have you been practicing this in front of a mirror?
I do it in selfie mode on my phone.
Oh yeah, that's right. You Facebook Live it to the world.
Just to myself. I have a group that's just me.
And
And then I go and
deletes it
then I go
afterwards.
and like it a bunch of times, and then I delete it.
Yeah, that's a boosting phase,
Yeah,
right?
exactly right. So, Mike, what's your quick elevator pitch to your success in the world?
Oh, my success? I have no idea. I can tell you where I came from, or who I think I came from. Let's see. Yeah, man, I had an interesting childhood. It was fairly positive. I was homeschooled all the way
no
through.
shit.
Yeah,
Same with my wife.
yeah, I went to school in like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, but it was one of those things where after the 4th grade, my parents were like, "Do you really want to be in school?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "Cool, we'll homeschool you." I'm like, "Right on." So they even gave me the option every around junior high. They were like every year they'd be like, "Do you want to go back to school?" I'm like, "No." And yeah, so I maintained a level of independence that way, and really, I think a lot of that attributed to being very independent, and also getting shit done when someone's not asking me to get shit done. You know, whereas a lot of people, I think, when they get into entrepreneurship or on their own, when they don't know what to do next, they kind of stall out. I mean, that's what people do when they don't know what to do next, is they stop. So I think it was really beneficial that I had that growing up, which attributed to, I think, part of who I am now. And I grew up in, my dad did a lot of construction. So he ran his own home improvement business. So I did a lot of that. I lifeguarded in high school, stuff like that. Grew up in the church.
What kind of church?
It was non-denominational, but looking back on it, I'd say Baptist roots.
Like Southern Christian style, non-denominational.
Yeah,
which is
there was definitely a lot of
Baptist-ish.
conversations when I was in high school, like, you know, if you don't do this, you will go to hell type of situation. So a lot of like fear-based, dogma. And there was that. I ended up going into the Navy. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Actually,
What age did you go in?
19.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to blow shit up and shoot people. Like I literally I grew up in I think I grew up with such a really like balanced home, and yet the idea of killing somebody seemed appealing to me when I was 18, 19 years old.
I feel that. I had that feeling too.
So
some
and
point.
there was anger there for some reason. So I didn't make it through buds. So I go in the Navy. I fail out of that, and then I spend 3.5 years in the fleet. It was a good experience. It's not what I really wanted at the time. Got out, opened a gym. Went to school. Instagramming me while I talk, throwing me off. I got into. Well, I'd always been in fitness, but I went into. I opened a CrossFit gym when I was in school at University of Memphis, and then I started a podcast. Was like, I could live anywhere I want. I'm gonna move to California. But there was a point where there was that point where I go, oh, everything. I'd been operating until I was about 30 years old, 31 years old, of like, oh, I know what I'm doing. You know, I thought I knew what I was doing in this life, and then I had this wake up moment. I was like, oh shit. So the last 4 to 5 years, I've been really purposely. I think I always had it in me where I was systematically making things the way I want them to be. I've always been very systematic in that way, and methodical, I guess, would be the word. And how I design my life. And Connor and I have been talking about lifestyle design quite a bit, but like I've always been that way. but it's like I threw kerosene on the fire about 4 years ago. The kerosene was mushrooms.
That's a good lighter fluid.
Metaphysically flammable.
Yeah, but I mean, I grew up my whole life thinking drugs are bad. Alcohol is okay. Alcohol is not a drug. Like all these things, and then through a series of events, I became more open to the use of psychedelics. First, I was like, I would only use plants because plants are okay. But after a while, you start to realize that all the fear that's put in place around substances is just, it's all about control.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely more friendly to just everything in general. As far as there's ways of going about it, but yeah, over the last 4 years, I've really, Connor, you were saying earlier, like I've gone through a lot of change, and yeah, it's all been on purpose. So none of it's by accident. It's a hard charge forward. Almost all the time, I do take breathers here and there, but yeah, for the most part, I'm analyzing every aspect of my life, my business life, my partnership with my wife, my relationships with my friends and the community, and how I show up in the world. I'm always analyzing like how I could be better, and be different. So, for that reason, I moved to a place where we're all sitting right now. We got friends walking around. But move to a place where everybody is doing the same thing, which, you take plant medicines out of it, and you still just are surrounded by people who are willing to challenge you at every turn, challenge and support you. And it's actually where I live is we had somebody come visit recently, and they just moved here, and we're sitting on the beach hanging out, and there's a group of us, and my friend Guy and I are talking to her. And I was like, be careful, because you're going to meet almost no resistance here. She was like, what does that mean? I was like, if you want to do something, if you want to be something or whatever, nobody's going to talk you out of it. Like, no one's going to be like, no, what did you think about this or whatever? Everyone's going to be like, cool, how can I support you? Like, no matter what it is you want to do, no matter what, I don't care what it is. It's like, my wife's toying around with the idea of dancing at a club, at a strip club. And normally people would be like, oh, you're going to do that? Oh, they would try to talk her out of it. In this community, people are like, wow, that is so cool. Why are you doing it? How can I support you? And it's just...
Show up with ones.
That's right.
That's right.
There she is, doing it right there. No, but when she answers, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Actually,
She's like, "Yeah,
the whole world knows you're dancing now."
She goes, "Now I want to."
I love it.
Oh, I love Ashley. She goes, "Yeah, I have some body image issues I want to deal with, and I figured that would be a good outlet." I was like,
well, that's the other thing.
that makes a ton of sense.
Go right into the fire.
Well, that's the thing is, and that's what's cool about the community here too, is because that's how if somebody wants to do something, is like, and they think of a way of like, everyone's always trying to come up with a way of attacking that thing. She was like, yeah, if I just take my clothes off in front of strangers, I think I'll get over a bunch of this shit. I'm like, probably right. Go for it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense.
All right, Kyle.
Yeah,
buddy.
Well, let's see. I grew up in the Bay Area. Still very much a part. I grew up in the 80s. I'm 35. So, we had the DARE program, drugs are bad, all that stuff, and all the horror stories.
When's your birthday?
Even the March 22nd, 1982.
Okay. I'm October 10, 1981.
There you go.
Old as fuck.
Yeah, we're both old as fuck.
Yeah, we're
dude.
not fucking millennial Connor.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm super entitled because I was born.
We got
5 years later.
receding hairlines.
That's right, Connor. Don't wait. Just work.
My
Don't
hair is
worry,
super
buddy.
robust.
Yours is gonna start falling back.
I'm manifesting a solid hairline till the whole my entire
It'll
life.
retreat. It'll move back. You can't manifest that hair forever. But even growing up in the Bay, like, it was super diverse. And the high school I went to in Cupertino, we had 60% Asians. A lot of my best friends are Asian, and even like just weird backgrounds. One of my good buddies is half Turkish, half Chinese. So we were exposed to that like fairly early on. It made sense. I saw dudes kissing when we'd go into San Francisco, and it was like, oh, okay, like that's cool too. Like it didn't bother me because it was just like a normal thing. And for everybody who's like it's funny because when they, it's a quick side note here, when they were going to pass the ability for gay marriage in California, they had an ad campaign going against it that showed like a gay teacher, like a gay math teacher teaching math, and it was somehow gonna trickle down to teaching your kid to be gay.
Was he like one dick plus two dicks equals a good time?
A good time. But yeah, it's like, dude, really? This is on fucking TV right now in Cal, and then I have to remember, like, all right, there's a lot of agriculture here. There's a lot of other ways of thinking. Not everyone's on the coast. Not everyone has water. Not everyone's a part of the Bay Area, or there's a whole giant part of Northern California that's not San Francisco and the Silicon Valley. But yeah, I played football since I was 10. It was kind of my outlet. It was little turbulent growing up, but my parents got divorced at 13. I was actually really happy, and like my relationship with my dad changed. He was less stressed out, and everything kind of worked out from that. But I still had, my tendency towards violence and wanting to hit things, and so football was a great outlet for that. Went to play football at Arizona State, and then when that ended, I felt kind of like a hamster on the wheel, with weight training and running and things like that. I missed the human element. So I started training in mixed martial arts, and it wasn't long before, a little promoter guy was like, "Oh, dude, you're big, you're athletic. Why don't you try to get in there and fight and see what it's like?" And I'd fought a bunch growing up, but it's a different thing. It's a different animal to fight somebody who's trained that you don't have any problems with. And, he said, just get your feet wet. If it goes well, you can do it again. You never have to do it again if you don't like it. And I won my first 2 fights in under 30 seconds and was absolutely hooked from there on. And fighting has been like one of the greatest teachers for me, because not only was it an outlet in and of itself, but it taught me to perform better physically. And in that, because of the mental of standing in front of somebody that's trying to take your head off, how to be present, like to not worry about, oh, what if he does this, and think about all the fucking, the crossover from what happens in a fight to what happens in life is nearly identical, because there's so many things that are out of our control in real life, and you don't know. You can't fucking predict every possible outcome, and it's numbing to try to think of every possible outcome, right? Same thing in the fight, Plus, if I'm really dialed in and focused on just doing my own thing, odds were that it would go pretty well. And if I was worried and waiting and hesitating because of what I was worried about the other guy would do, odds are I'd get my shit beat out of me. So, but it taught me a lot there. And I had a coach that was part Native American, and he would take me to traditional sweat lodges and things like that. And finally I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, when are we going to do the plants?" And he just started laughing and said, "I was just waiting for you to ask." And we started doing traditional mushroom sweats, and then eventually, he's the guy that introduced me to ayahuasca, and that just really shifted. We were talking about phases. I had done drugs incorrectly as a kid plenty of times. Drunk at a party, you get a bag of mushrooms, you end up puking everywhere and crying and sobbing and "Don't look at me, I'm sorry," and snot running down your face, that kind of thing. And then really just diving into, some of the old teachers, listening to Terrence McKenna talks and trying to open myself up to things like that. And it's funny because in a roundabout way, that taught me how to meditate better. That taught me how to find my quiet center, how to really get peace. I think for people that aren't down with psychedelics, they want to know, like, well, can't you just get there? Even like, certain traditional yogis will say, like, you don't need to go down that route. It's like a cheat code. You don't have to use the cheat code.
It's funny you bring that up, because I've been asked not to bring their name up, but I'm friends with somebody who, I wish I could tell more about this person, because then if I were to say enough, they're fairly unique that they would be figured out pretty quickly. But they had I would say they've had over 30 years of meditation practice, and in martial arts and in yoga, and had done big silent meditation retreats and stuff. And I had the conversation with them. I was like, "Hey, have you tried ayahuasca? This and that?" And they're like, "No, I don't think." And then he's like telling me about all this, he has all these theories and all these things. I'm like, yeah, it's very spiritual. Like I get it. And he's a teacher of mine. He teaches me a lot too. And one day he maybe 2 years after having the initial conversation with him, he has an experience. He has a 5-MeO experience. And then we go get lunch a week later, and he goes, I just didn't know. I didn't
Yeah.
know. Like, I, he's describing to me, and it kind of freaked him out. And I was like, oh, so you had trouble letting go? And he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, you gotta. That's something. That's a whole lesson to learn. That I can't imagine learning through meditation. The
Yeah, you
letting.
almost get like shocked into like holy shit, like when the curtain gets pulled back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and if you're not ready to let go, it's
it's immediate. You
Yeah.
know, and I think that's kind of what that's where some preparation or a lot of preparation and understanding why you're there, having an intention can make all the difference in the world.
yeah. My impression of how that whole situation went down is it could have been done differently.
Yeah,
So, however, the fact that he had this much experience in meditative practice and it still got his ass really, really shows you that it's not just
they are powerful. I mean, they're absolutely powerful. But I feel also like we were talking about religion and things like that. And one of the things that really drew me from Terrence and Dennis McKenna talking about it is this concept of direct experience. And how, if you look at the Catholic Church, it's like, you don't talk to God, I'll talk to God for you. Tell me what you did wrong, I'll make sure shit's cool,
right.
and you'll still get a hall pass into heaven. And then this idea, I mean, if you read all the old stories, it sounds quite a bit like a psychedelic experience, in the visionary state,
totally.
and actually receiving and downloading information or having this deeper understanding. And I've never in my life felt closer to God than after doing ayahuasca. Like direct connection and a deeper understanding that I'm not my body. There is a part of me that you can call it soul, spirit, whatever you want, even just consciousness. And knowing that has transformed my faith in, not in a religion, just in just a deeper understanding of this is what I am. I'm
sure.
not the meat body.
I had a really similar experience on my third night. My first ayahuasca ceremony was 3 nights long, and that third night I got a chance to what I felt like was like to just transcend outside of this like realm, I guess you could say that, and got to find compassion for every spiritual practice, because at that point I was very critical, especially of Christianity growing up where I grew up, and I got to feel what it was like to forgive for sins. Right, that's a power that all of us have. That was a big takeaway. We all have the power to find empathy and compassion for others and bring that our best self to them, and that's in a way like relieving them of their sins, of their baggage. And it was funny. I was sitting in this place, and it felt like I was very lucky to be there, and then I wasn't the first person to have ever been there, but I was really lucky and grateful to be there. But I got to look at all of us practicing our little religions and being in this current space, and it wasn't just me. I don't know. It was like there were several beings there, just kind of like we were like giggling in a loving way, but like we're so silly. Like we're so silly.
I mean, the way I see it is I basically form my own religion. I'm not trying to get people to do it with me. But, I have my little rituals and practices.
Slippery slope.
Don't tell people the reason for the show. But, I have my... Yes. I have my reasons for a lot of things I do in the morning and before bed. I have these rituals. I have, morning practices that I've developed. This is what I find helps me have that God connection. And that's the purpose of all religious ceremonies, is to have that experience. Now, over time, it definitely gets degraded, and I think we're going through a bit of a renaissance right now that is being driven by plant medicine and psychedelics. And what I think is really interesting is I don't think we would be like LSD doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion. Everyone's very focused on ayahuasca, but I seriously doubt that people would have found ayahuasca had LSD not taken hold here on the West Coast, 30, 40 years ago, or however long ago it was now. Because I think that's what opened people up to going, whoa, there's more. We need to be looking.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if the people who went down originally and back in the 90s and started cultivating that relationship with the people in South America for ayahuasca, I don't know what their background was like, but I do think that ayahuasca is more received really well by people in the psychedelic community in North America, in the United States. So, ayahuasca is usually not the first medicine that somebody tries.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
doubt.
usually like mushrooms or LSD or something like that. So I think a lot of times people are like, I'll do this, but not that. I'm like,
I was the same way. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
just plants, and then, but it's funny because I had a conversation with Rick Doblin and they were talking about, even LSD is a very, very similar structure found in Kikion, which was used in ancient Greece in the Eleusinian Mysteries. And it's I think this stuff does show up in nature if we look close enough.
Yeah, in the right environment. For sure.
Yeah. But even if it doesn't, it's something I think Rogan was talking about, like everything we do, like we have this idea in the West and in Christianity that because we are created in God's image, that we're different, we're better than, all the animals are here for our dominion, and we're not animals, we're nothing like them, that kind of thing. And then even if, just this concept that maybe we're pretty fucking similar, we can, right?
It's the separation from nature.
It is.
Yeah, the separation from nature.
It's saying we're not natural. We are better, or we're different than nature. Nature is here. I am here, and everything that man builds is not natural. These are the beliefs that come up, and I think if we go, oh wait, we are just as much of nature as anything, and we have a huge influence on this entire ecosystem for sure. But it's not unnatural. I mean, it's not everything that a human being does is a natural thing.
Yeah, when a bee makes honey, is that fucking not natural? Of course it is.
For sure.
It's like a disassociation with the fact that we're in the continuum of life, right? Like we call it nature, we call it animals, we call it whatever we want, but we disassociate with that. That's life is life. Like I'm not any more important than a tree outside. Like that's a life, and that he may have a consciousness that I'm just not familiar with.
Yeah,
because I got given this one.
Well, I think having this. The separation with the nature deal is also we're having a separation of like I am my own being, and saying somebody's like, oh, you don't need to do any of the plants. You can just meditate. You don't need that cheat code or whatever. It's like, to me, that's arrogant because it's saying that I'm separate from the rest of the ecosystem. And it's like, oh, exactly. I'm not going to let these plants into, like, I'm gonna put up a barrier, and I'm not going to allow different. I'm going to be very choosy, and we should definitely be choosy about what we let in and out and all that kind of stuff, because we do have a consciousness that allows us to do that. But it's like saying, oh, I'm gonna not do this because it's gonna have, I don't know what kind of impact it's gonna have on me, but it's not part of who I am or my nature or whatever. And so I guess if you're making that decision, you're right.
But that's all dreamed up in the mind. I guess the point.
For sure.
It's like exactly. It's not a natural law. There is no, there's no basis to it other than just like this is a rule I created for myself. No different than like this is what I'll do each morning. Breath work or whatever. That's a rule you create to kind of tap into yourself, and those may be positive or negative, but it's still just that. It's an idea that you have on a way to live.
And enough people in our culture have decided that that's scary, so I don't want anyone else to try it either. Mm-hmm. Which is unfortunate, and discourage people from taking a ride.
It's funny, we hear the horror stories a lot when it comes to psychedelics. The first thing, especially mushrooms. Oh, I took mushrooms, and my friend took mushrooms, or a friend of a friend took mushrooms, and then he like freaked out in the closet for 6 hours. You have zero context, but we put all the pressure on the mushrums. Yeah, get blamed on eating mushrooms and a pizza at a music festival, and expect that to go well for you.
The bad mushroom ceremony I had was already. I'm waiting on mushrooms, and then I get told they're not going to show up, so I start getting hammered. And I'm 16. I'm drinking a lot. I fucking smoke way too much weed. And it's my buddy's birthday, and there's a stripper coming. So then the mushrooms come right as the stripper comes, and it's a bunch of people I don't know at a house I'm unfamiliar with. I eat all the mushrooms.
This is the ideal time.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
Actually,
this is exactly how.
Thinking about writing a book on how to take mushrooms. This would be chapter 1.
You should just write the prologue.
Forward by Kyle Kingsbury. And mushrooms show up. I gobble them up, and they're like, she goes, "Who's the birthday boy?" And everyone points at me because they know I just ate all these mushrooms. So she has me in the middle of the room. She throws a fucking mask on my head that I can't see out of.
Oh no!
Pulls my pants down and starts shaving my ass in front of everyone.
Oh wow!
And then she beats me with a dildo.
Good.
And the world starts spinning at this point, right? So. Once the show ends and everyone's dying laughing, I take the mask off and I go sit down, and I'm like half embarrassed, I can't grasp what the fuck's going on. Like I have no basis, and it's on every level the wrong way to do it. But yeah, then it just ended up to, I'm going to be sick, going outside, puking, thinking it'll never end. My buddy had to lay me down in bed, and I felt like the bed was eating me, like I was being swallowed alive by the bed. And it didn't change until he kept telling me, like, it'll end at some point, it'll end at some point. And then I was like, oh, and when I relaxed, then I actually had like some taste of what it could be like to do mushrooms properly, like a deep peace.
You know what, what I'm realizing right now is birds of a feather flock together. And I think that all three of us seek intense experiences, that's for sure. But that's definitely the worst mushroom journey I've ever heard in my entire life.
It was
fucking
brutal.
I've heard some like nightmare, like I did this and I fucked it up. It's usually like I just mixed alcohol and mushrooms at a frat party. Well, like, of course
that'll do it.
Yeah. That's all you need to have a bad time.
Well, you start seeing.
But then you throw in dildos and strippers and the mask and beating your ass. And I'm like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Sounds
one butt cheek was
me,
shaved.
yeah.
She didn't shave them both. Just one. Just one cheek got shaved in front of the boys.
Wow. That's impressive.
What's funny with mushrooms too, if you take them in a crowd, I always have. Cause I like to take mushrooms recreationally and just go out. Because I don't like to drink that much. It just doesn't do the same for me. But I'll start what I call seeing zombies. If the energy of the place starts to shift, like I have an exit strategy. I'm like, nope, can't do this. I'm out of here. And if I was to get stuck in that, I mean, I've been there before out at a club or something like that and been what I call like seeing zombies. And you start seeing the darkness and you kind of feel lost. And it's,
Kyle,
it
do you
sneak
drink?
up on you.
I quit drinking for a while because in college at Arizona State, cocaine was a big deal, you know? And so it was a funny thing because, especially when I got into fighting, I think the limiting factor with Coke for me was like, hey, this isn't something I should do every weekend, and it's very expensive. But then when Coke becomes free, because you have like D-list celebrity status and people remember you from football and now you're fighting on TV. It's like, oh, hey, dude, let's go to the bathroom, you know, and it just becomes like too readily available. So for a while there, I just stopped going out, you know, and I was cool with that. And that was an easy way for me to kind of not be in the environment, not have that temptation. And then for a long time when I decided that I didn't want to do blow anymore, I couldn't get drunk because if I got drunk, I would just go fucking sifting through my phone like, who's got it? Who can I invite? Yeah, because
dude, alcohol
when you
leads
drink,
to bad decisions.
when alcohol makes bad decisions, but when you drink, there's this. You can drink more on Coke than you can without, and if you're used to drinking that way for a period of time, then you try to drink that way without it. Like you're gonna black out, you're gonna throw up, and that's what I was doing. I was drinking like a 16-year-old.
Yeah, I know people that would regularly. Like, that's how you sober up. You go out
this
drinking.
will level me out.
You go out drinking, and how do you get home? Well, I do a bump so I can drive home.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit.
Hey, but it works,
right.
And there's actually less hangover the next day.
It works. It does work.
There's less hangover the next day. So there was this dynamic of I couldn't wrap my head around that, so I just stopped. And I quit drinking in January 6th. I was at a ceremony in South America. And I talked about this on Rogan's, but this guy asked, you know, if you have an addiction, and I, of course, think like, all right, he's saying this for the rest of the group. But he's like, if you have an addiction, after you have, you know, ayahuasca and you're in the space to receive information, ask yourself what you're feeding the next time you go to have that addiction. And I saw myself the way I drank since I was 13, just fucking like, just trying to be out of my body, and really, I think at the base of everything, being uncomfortable in my own skin, being uncomfortable being sober, second guessing myself at every turn, not sure like how I was coming across to people, but if I drink, I'm confident, I'm funny, I'm the fucking life of the party, and there was that whole driving force behind it, and for that, right then, I was like, oh, I guess I don't need that. Like I didn't need it anymore. And I want to say like 18 months went by with no alcohol at all. And when I was leaving, I was speaking of your wife working at a titty bar. I had bounced and bartended at a titty bar pretty much the whole time I was in the UFC because you don't make shit for money. And, you know, that's the way our culture celebrates. So the day I left, I had a little MDMA. And But I realized like people wanted to drink with me. And they wanted to say, hey, man, it's been 6 years. It's been an awesome run. We wish you the best, that kind of thing. And so I didn't feel obligated, but I wanted to drink with them. Like, hey, let's celebrate together. This has been an awesome time here. And I didn't feel a need. Like, I didn't get drunk. I drank. I was pounding water the whole time. But I didn't feel this, like, fucking desire for Coke or anything else. It was just cool doing what I was doing. And from then on, I've had wine, that kind of thing. Went to a bachelor party in Chicago where I got a little tipsy, but I mean, for the most part, like, I don't like the feeling of drunk. It's my least favorite drug. When you compare that to even cannabis or anything else, like, I can go deep with mushrooms or cannabis and I feel great the next day. I think that's kind of the rule of thumb for me on drugs is, how do I feel the next day? Okay, that was a good drug. I feel like shit, that's a bad drug. And too much alcohol, it's a fucking bad drug, period.
What else is dangerous is endless Molly supplies.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of round of experience. Like, do you want to do some more? Yes, I want to do more of everything, always, forever. And the next, you get yourself in some trouble. Endless, being able to have a healthy relationship with whatever substance you're on, like, usually takes a little bit of trial and error, or some good advice from 3 meatheads sitting on a floor.
Yeah, well, and some things are easier to say no to, like, for a second round and than others.
Absolutely.
So, well.
Yeah, I don't know. I could say that was the Coke phase of my life. Well, and that phase has definitely changed because it's not necessarily like I can drink now and enjoy it for what it is and pump the brakes with zero problems. And that was something I never had from 13 years old on.
Do you think that had to do with the people that were around you too, like just feeding that, or
no, not at all?
I mean,
it was all me. It was all me, and it really was this. I think as I've grown and become more comfortable with who I am and really released a lot of my anger and the shit that I, whatever baggage that I had growing up, as we all do, like finding outlets through weight training and fighting, and now still doing jiu-jitsu, which I don't get hit in the head, but it's the gentle art, right? So I had this martial arts that there's a human dynamic, yoga, breath work, meditation. All these things are little pieces that kind of add to this collective me that makes living better. And in that, there is no real itch to get out of my skin. And I think if I have an itch to go deep with ayahuasca or something like that, it's usually because there's something there to work on.
Yeah.
I'm going to come in here with an issue or a problem or just, a general idea of what I want to work on. And not only do I get that, but I'll get more than I had brought to the table.
Well, when you find a little stillness in yourself, that stuff rises to the top, and it's like, here you go. It's like, here, it'll give it to you when you need it or when you're ready to work on it, and the medicine calls.
Yeah.
Well, ayahuasca helps you go into it and through it.
Yeah.
Whereas alcohol is just a really great way to avoid it.
So, nope, juke move.
Just tell me, exactly. That's not there. That's not there. That's not there.
I'm feeling insecure.
I'm fine.
Quick,
I'm fine.
drink.
I'm fine. I promise. I'm fine.
That's what I've told people. And I didn't drink I didn't touch alcohol for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Like, I didn't touch a drop. And it was after my first big accidental mushroom trip.
Where you slipped and fell in a fucking patch of psilocybin. I'm going to eat my way out of this.
Well, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was like, I've been hearing from different entrepreneurs that you can learn faster on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
So I was like, yeah, give me a lot of those. Took a journal out, came back from a business conference, thought I was gonna get all this business knowledge, be a better marketer, and then got my ass handed to me.
Yeah.
But it was funny is because weeks went by and I hadn't had a drop of alcohol and I didn't even notice. It wasn't one of those things where it didn't show me something consciously, like, oh, you need to change this about you. It was like something got rewired in my subconscious, and I remember having a drink or being offered a drink and being like, no, and they were like, why aren't you drinking? Because I used to drink every weekend, and I was like, why aren't you drinking? I'm like, I just don't like it. Like, I don't like how it makes. I don't like it. It doesn't make me the person I want to be. And I realized too, during that period of time, I don't like the feeling of being drunk.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I liked the feeling of being drunk, but what I liked was the feeling of not being insecure.
Yeah.
And so, and then over time, of course, you do the work and you start demolishing insecurities and being okay with who you are and accepting that and allowing other people to accept that part of you too. And
Yeah, a little bit of that. The Jack Handy starts coming in. Doggone it, people like me.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough.
Yeah.
Well, one thing to pump your tires a little bit, stroke you guys off, is that you two both inspire me just by how comfortable you are in your own skin. Like Kyle's 6'5", cruising around with a fanny pack and toe shoes wherever he goes, and I'm just like, this motherfucker has some shit figured out. Like, I should be a little bit more like I should. It rubs off on you, I like that. It's
and now you got fucking foot blisters from wearing your flip flops again.
I mean, don't criticize my flip flops, dude. That was it.
Gotta get the toe shoes.
I've got 3 pair. Check this out.
You got fucking hobbit feet. Oh, look at the webs. Do you have gills behind your ear?
Fun fact, like Waterworld.
Kevin Costner.
I'm such a good swimmer. It's ridiculous. But but toes 2 and 3 are webbed. So I can go get them. I have 5 fingers where toes 2 and 3 have been cut and sewn together on the shoes.
You got some custom ass 5 fingers.
I contacted 5 Finger, like the Vibram 5 Finger. I was like, "Can you guys do this?" They're like, "No." Like when they first, like years ago.
Who are you? Leave us alone.
When they first launched,
there's a market for people with fucked up feet like me that want custom made.
You can sell
shoes.
7 or 8 a year.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
1 in 1,000 people.
Damn.
Yep, 1 in 1,000 people. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they could have cornered the market. Boy, did they miss out.
They fucked up.
That's what you got after your business conference in the mushrooms.
As if they weren't.
I'm going to talk to
five-finger
Vibram
shoe.
right now
As if
about
they
a
weren't
4-finger
niche enough.
shoe.
Something in customer service is like some weirdo on mushrooms is asking us about hobbit feet shoes. That got circulated around the office for sure.
Oh man. Yeah. But what's funny is my friend Chris Moore, who you know, Connor, or knew, he had the same thing.
Yeah.
So I know like 4 or 5 other guys that have the same web
Birds
toes.
of a feather.
I met a
bro.
woman, was working the register at Rip Curl that was complaining about it. She was like, "How are those shoes?" And I was like, "Oh, they're fucking great. You should get a pair." And she was like, "Oh, I would, but I have web toes." And I was like, "That's awesome."
Word.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, what are we doing? What are we going to do today? Let's fill everybody in on what's about to happen, what's about to transpire.
Well, you know what? I actually can't talk about what will happen because there's no fucking telling.
When you've released yourself from all expectations because you're conscious as fuck.
Today, I will guess that here at the Freedom Festival, we will have music and dancing and hot tub and camping and lights. Looks like there's going to be some hula hoop and maybe.
Oh, we got hula hoops coming in?
Yeah, we've got all sorts of.
We're trying to set the scene for you guys.
We've got dancers coming in.
What?
We've got
Some of your wife's new coworkers are going to be here. All right. Hey, well, if there needs to be a security role, I can just step back into my old skin.
There we go.
Put the old mask on.
when the sun goes down, the light show will come on. This all turns into something pretty cool.
Well, there's something about surrounding yourself.
It's one thing during the day, and then it completely transforms into something else.
Like
at night.
Burning Man.
Yeah, it's a little mini Burning Man.
Mini Burning Man.
Mini Burn. I'm doing my first Burning Man this year. I'm pretty pumped, man. I've been reading Stealing Fire. They got a whole I think all of chapter 8 is on it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
That book, Stealing Fire, is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
book.
yeah.
Stealing Fire is fantastic.
I listened to that book. It was good. I didn't actually. I haven't finished it, but I do remember the chapter on Burning Man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it. I've been twice.
Okay.
Really,
What are your? Give me some prep work
Burning
here.
Man.
Tell me a bit about it. Let's talk Burning Man pre-burn.
You know, I think you're going to be just fine. Seriously, I think the thing for me is I was completely. Most people don't come prepared enough for the physical aspects of Burning Man.
Okay.
Like, they didn't bring enough water or food, or they fuck up something like that. You'll be fine. You actually have your shit together enough. So these are the people who don't realize they're going to be in a desert and that they are not going to be able to buy anything. So
You think they're going to Coachella?
There's 2 things you can buy at Burning Man. There's 2 things that dollars will buy you, and that's ice and coffee.
No water?
No.
Oh, well, they have it at the airport, so we're flying in onto the playa, and I'm buying 5 gallons right there for $7.
I don't think you can do that. Yeah, so we
Already
bring
did it
our
on
own water in.
pre-order, but we
So,
have water
like
as
my
well.
wife and I know how much water we go through in a day. Like
Yeah.
we
Oh,
measure
yeah.
it. We have an idea, and you want a little more. Pack a lot of electrolytes, obviously. It can get really cold at night and really hot during the day, and
To be working on Wim Hof breathing at night,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then during the day, hitting the
Dude.
nasal
Getting
breathing.
your heat
Dude,
shock proteins.
The
Getting the
last
heat shock
time I was
proteins.
there, last time I was there was icicles. I would wake up and there's icicles in the morning.
Oh damn!
That's how cold
You,
it
you
got.
hallucinated that, Mike. That didn't happen.
That happened.
Were the icicles dropping one drop at a time onto your tongue?
From an Android Jones painting.
you're like, oh shit!
Android
Yes.
Jones always does something sick.
Yeah.
You gotta. My first year at Burning Man, I camped with Android Jones.
Really?
I did, yeah.
That's fucking rad.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
talk a bit about him in Stealing Fire.
Yeah. He's fairly introverted though, so like I camped with him, but I hung out with him for like maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, I get that. A lot of the guys that are very, I guess, creative and into their own world, they're very much into their own world, and they don't really give a fuck about some of the same things. Maybe the reasons why we drank like we used to drink was so that we felt like we could fit in and talk to people and these kind of things, and that's not even on their fucking radar.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
kudos to them for being able to move past that and not give a shit.
No doubt. And he had this thing a couple years ago. We went and he had this dome. It was a 40-foot dome across, and it was one of the few places you could get air conditioning. So Ashley and I, we drop acid, and we go to the dome and we lay down, and everyone's just like cuddled, and we squeeze as many people in there as we can. And we lay back, and it's a 15-minute animation of all of Android Jones' artwork, and it's moving, and you're going through it.
Oh fuck
Wow.
yeah!
So you're
dude.
tripping, and there's music, and there's a show, and you are in it.
Yes.
Like you don't even need to be on anything. Like I realized that.
But
at
why
first.
not?
I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
yeah,
might as well.
man.
but might as
man.
well.
Yeah, my wife and I didn't need to be on anything for Doctor Strange in 3D, but why not, right? Like, but let's
course.
really experience Doctor Strange in 3D.
Oh,
But
man.
Burning Man, my first year was the big thing was just it was a culture shock. I was in the process of moving from Tennessee to California. I had spent the summer in Austin, and I basically I'd been in Austin for the summer, and I go to Burning Man, and I'm just like, what the fuck? They were like, oh, you can wear costumes, whatever you want. I didn't know what whatever you want meant. Like I couldn't before that I couldn't comprehend like what is your
Steampunk
what
and
do you-
gas masks. And
yeah,
just,
but I couldn't even comprehend like whatever you want meant. Like I was like I that first Burning Man experience really allowed me to break out of the box that my mind had created about what was possible.
Yeah.
And then also around desire. He's like, what do you really want? Oh, I thought that I had been operating out of what I wanted my whole life. Oh, these people are doing what they really want. I'm doing what I think is socially acceptable.
yeah, dude.
And
There
now
you
I'm in an environment where what's socially acceptable is whatever the fuck you want. So I'd say the first 72 hours I was confused. I was just like, and people are like, oh, I was thinking about, I've never been. I'm thinking about going for 2 or 3 days. I'm like, you're gonna miss the point. You could potentially completely miss the point. I know people that it took them 5 days of the 7 before it sank in the first time.
Well, it sucks because
How long are you going,
now
Kyle?
you're disappointing me because we're only going for 3 days,
Oh.
and the reason is for that we're going out there, and I have to fly from the Playa to Reno and drive straight down for a wedding that I'm in Malibu the next day. Wow. So yeah, we've got some.
What day's the wedding? Saturday.
The day is a Friday. Friday is the wedding. I'm going to miss. I got the AOK to miss rehearsal dinner.
When are you
on Thursday?
When are you?
We're going Monday to Thursday.
Go Sunday morning.
To what?
They open the gates on Sunday at noon at Burning Man.
I think they open Saturday, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of the people we're going with, we're going to go with Aubrey and some of the folks from On It, so they don't get in until Tuesday anyways. I figure we'll have a day to
I
ourselves.
know a way I could potentially get you in as early as Thursday.
Really?
All these things you're
If-
talking about make me try to figure out a way to get there.
But you have to work. You have to build shit.
Yeah, that could be cool.
But
I'll do that.
You're a lot of man. Both of you are a lot of man.
I'm handy as fuck. You seen it. You seen it.
You're fairly handy.
I've never felt.
You're handy-ish.
I'm a handy for a hippie.
That's right. No, but if you want to go in and like really put in work, which I also find to be. This is the thing about Burning Man too, is I think how much you put into it is how much you get out.
Okay.
And if you show up early and do some work, it's actually like a really positive thing. Ashley goes in early every year. I won't be going this year. She'll be going. She could put you to work. Like that. Boom.
All right.
What do you think about that, dude?
Potential, brother. Yeah,
Let's talk
Connor.
about that.
I see your mind wandering right now.
Oh, it's wandering. It's wandering.
Yes.
I'm wandering
Yes, buddy.
deep. I'm already deep playa right
Yes.
now in my mind.
Yes. Huh.
I just use terminology I hear around the circle.
I think I could change. I
don't know what the fuck that even means.
Our flight. I think we could change the flight in there.
Dude, it's interesting. It's just a different. Like I still don't like. I want to go back. I'm not going to go back this year. I don't think. If I do, it'll be for 2-3 days. But there's still. I can tell you what the lessons are waiting for me there, because the last time I was there, I would go out and I still felt confused about things that were happening. And they weren't Burning Man things. It was just things that were happening at Burning Man, because there's like all these. You have the Burning Man culture, and then every camp has its own culture.
Okay.
So I'm part of a camp of 150 people, and we have our own culture. Like, we're those people at Burning Man. And then there's another group, and they're those people at Burning Man. So there's all these subcultures too. So you have an opportunity to dive into like tons of different shit. I
just
really
heard
enjoy
they
it.
have an anal fisting tent.
Yeah, that's my first stop.
Whoa!
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's like that. So back to what do you really desire?
Yeah,
being
Mike.
available.
Well,
That just opens up all sorts of.
Well, what's funny
ideas.
is that's what's cool about Burning Man is it's a safe space to try shit on.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to try this out. I really don't have to tell anyone I did it, or this or that, and and the people at Burning Man, if halfway through I'm like, this is not for me, I want out, they're gonna be like, cool, But if you want to try something, that's this place. That's the place, because the level of acceptance is so high, and just like I was talking about here in Encinitas, there's very little resistance. Well, the same as at Burning Man, it's just there's no resistance. Oh, you want to try that? Let's see if we can make that happen for you. And then you make it like I have a friend who he had this thing. He was like, yeah, I want to be with a chick with a dick, and I was like, all right. This was not at Burning Man, but this was at a different situation. Someone helped facilitate that happening for him. And the next morning he was like, I thought I wanted that, but I don't. Like
I gave it a go, and it wasn't what I hoped it would be.
It's so nice to have a safe container to have experiences like that, because we do generally fear judgment. Like that, has a deep underlying fear. I mean, it's evolutionarily too. Like being judged by your tribe is really used to have a lot of risk associated with it. But if you put yourself in an environment, in a container where you can try new things by yourself, with your partner, with your partners, whatever you want to go, and then you come back, I can come out of that and be like, yeah, this was for us. Let's just pull the choice nugs out of that crazy opening of experience and take those into our lives.
Yeah,
just because you've seen what's possible.
Even in a safe place, people judge themselves.
Oh, for sure.
And getting past that point, and just think about all the things. Try to think about all the things that you don't even let your mind wander to. There's, we definitely hit those spots. I mean, where it's like, oh, my mind starts going somewhere. Whoa, not going there. I mean, and there's some places we probably shouldn't go, but
yeah, the mind can wander.
But anyways, yeah. My lesson, what I'd like everyone to get from this is try everything or anything twice and then judge it.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Because the first time can just be jolting.
Yeah, not really.
Especially
My
the
first
fisting
anal
thing,
fisting thing was, I wasn't sure. I had to go back for round 2 before I could really put my official stamp of
feel like
approval or disapproval on it.
Speaking of working,
I'm looking forward to hearing Kyle. I want to hear the report.
Yeah,
I feel like Kyle's
I'll tell you how it goes. I'll tell you how it goes.
Kyle's UFC experience could lend a hand in the anal fisting tent.
That's
I feel
right.
like.
Oh yeah.
Just come in. Someone's like, I want to crank it up to 11 with the aggressiveness on the anal fisting.
That's all right. Those fucking.
We got just
those
the guy
fucking
for
hands
you.
are too big.
I've been blasted in the face before. Now I want to reverse that. I don't know.
Who blasted in your face?
No, not like that.
Oh.
I mean, in the fight.
I want to fight.
Yeah.
I need to go watch.
Who
real
blasted?
fight. That's a
Haven't
messy
experienced that yet either.
beer. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one for Mike.
Well, this went fucking gross real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I take it. I do
That's
what I can.
okay.
I apologize to the
No,
audience.
that's okay. So Burning Man is whatever you want it to be.
It really is. Yeah, and that's what's funny too is people go to Burning Man, they're like, oh, I didn't like it. It wasn't this. I'm like, it can be whatever you want it to be. I mean, you could complain about being in the desert and stuff like that.
Unless you don't want it to be sandy.
The things you're going to complain about are the shit that you know is going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be hot. It's
Stuff
be cold,
that's out of your control, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's shit that's the barrier to entry, man. You're going to a utopian place that you have to be a little bit of has to have a shadow of some kind.
Yeah. So I mean, it's sold out every year for the last 3 or 4 years. It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, people that have been going for a long time say it's changed, and which, you know, of course it changes every year, and that's why they keep going back. If it was the same, they wouldn't want to go back. So.
Yeah. I want to see it.
Hell yeah. I'm excited. I'm quite excited for it.
There's another festival called Oregon Eclipse that's happening, I think, right now.
Aaron Alexander was telling me about that. I think he's been a couple
before.
times.
It's coming up in
No.
a couple months.
The people who are putting it on have put on shows before, but Oregon Eclipse, it's only happening once.
I think it's
and they'll never do it again.
But it's because it has to do with it lines up with the eclipse.
Oh, okay.
So Oregon
It's
Eclipse.
like once every 5,000 years.
Yeah, well, Oregon.
I'm not sure he did it last time, but
somebody was definitely
Yeah.
getting lit up 5,000 years ago at a festival.
Oregon's it's like a really good spot to view the eclipse. There's a forest there, and I guess they're selling an unlimited amount of tickets. So what they're doing is they're selling the tickets in batches. So they sell a batch, and then they make sure they can build it out to accommodate those people. So they're building the city out as they sell the tickets.
they're not cutting down like forests to make room for people, are they?
I seriously
I don't
doubt
think
it.
that's a
Just putting up tree
sustainable
houses.
practice. Yeah.
No, but that's going to be an interesting thing. I think they're expecting over 150,000 people. Now,
Oh wow. Is it where is it? Bend or?
It's I don't know. I'm not quite
Okay.
sure. And Burning Man is in the desert, and it's 70,000 people. And I'm like,
It's huge.
I couldn't
It's a
imagine
town.
it being more people. And
Yeah, twice as many.
Jeez, there's gonna be twice as many people there, which is kind of cool in itself. It's kind of like people wanting to like vacation in New York. You know, it's like, oh, population density is ridiculous. Well,
You know what you're
tons of
getting yourself
hippies
into.
in one place. Mm-hmm. Who knows what could happen? My favorite thing at Burning Man: do this. Go to Dr. Bronner's tent.
Oh hell yeah,
Oh,
man! I've
they
been
do
following
the-
them.
The bath the bath DJ.
The shower,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, that's my hands down my favorite thing to do at Burning Man is take group showers.
Yeah, I'm
What they
down
do
with
is
that.
they
That'd be fun.
you walk into this container. It's like 60 people can fit in it. They got people above you on catwalks hitting you with hoses, and they soap you up, and you're buck naked, and you're just washing each other, and everyone's just like lathered up, and then they rinse you off, and you come out, and they got a DJ playing the whole time.
Oh wow.
I remember walking in. And there's this guy. He gets out of the shower and he's just like got his cock out and just dancing and shaking. And I'm like, wow, that guy doesn't give a fuck. He's having a good time. It's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
And I'm standing there naked, about to get in,
Then
and
you're that
I
guy.
feel like a cattle at this point. But one of my favorite DJs is actually playing, which was a big plus. And I get in there, and once it's like they play these games, and you get to know people around you, and then they're like lather each other up, and they're making it fun. And then by the time you get out of the shower, it's like a 10-minute shower. By the time you're having a great time. So then I was that naked guy out there dancing, like having a great time,
Shaking your dick at the next guy.
And there are people in line going, "This guy didn't give a shit." So it was like come full circle. So yeah, go to Dr. Bronner's. They actually camp right next to my camp.
Cool.
So again, what you need to do when you're at Burning Man, hook up with my wife, and, in any way you want. And and actually, our camp gets first dibs on showers in the mornings
Oh wow.
because we're like sister camps.
Okay.
So our camp is our theme is love and relationships. So we do workshops on love and relationships all week during the day, and then at night we throw one big party on Wednesday night. Camp
be there.
Mystic.
Okay. Camp Mystic.
Oh shit! I just told the whole world.
Can't it?
But if you're not at Burning Man, it won't matter. But
That's true.
Yeah, dude, I should have done that. So here's the deal. Kyle Kingsbury is going to be there. Wednesday night, Burning Man, Camp Mystic.
Mystic.
People are going to come find
love
you.
it.
People are going to come find you. Here's the deal is I might go. So if I go to Burning Man, I'll pop in on Tuesday and I'll be out on Thursday night.
Sick.
So I may be I would basically be coming in for the Wednesday night party.
Well, then we have to go.
Well,
So-
if that's the case, I'm going to try and go too. I'm going to do everything I can
All right,
to
so-
go after this
so if you
conversation. We
wanna
got to
pa-
lay down another podcast.
If you want to
from Burning
party
Man.
with Kyle, Connor, and Bledsoe at Burning Man, Camp Mystic Wednesday night, see if you can find us.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
See if you can find us.
I'm
Well,
down.
And it's preferred that you're a woman
with an open mind.
Or at least
open
you-
mind
or you-
and
you-
wearing very little.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, fight fans are welcome too. CrossFitters are welcome too.
Fight fans,
You guys can come
CrossFitters,
along.
hippie- they're all-
You
yeah,
guys are
yeah.
allowed.
Yeah,
Just,
Everyone
if
can
you just
come.
want to watch from a distance, that's that's okay too.
Just bring somebody with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has bring an open heart and open mind.
That's
well,
right,
guys,
that's
speaking of finding us on the playa, where can people find you on the internets?
Yeah, find me at on Twitter and Instagram at Kingsboo. I will probably get back on Facebook, I think, as a means to promote the Current Space with Kyle Kingsbury. That's the podcast. Look it up. We got a few good episodes up right now, and this will be adding to the mix here shortly.
Oh yeah.
Dope. Check out thebledsoeshow.com. And that's also my podcast. And if you're into fitness, you have barbellshrug.com as well. Check that out.
Cool. And then I'm Connor Wanders, Connor with an E, Wanders with an A on Instagram, and Pleasure Monkey Life on Instagram.
Wait. You do it with an E on one and an A on another?
No, Connor with an E, C-O-N-N-E-R, Wanders with an A.
Oh.
Wanders, not Wonders.
Oh.
Some asshole spelled Connor with an O, Wonders
Connor,
with
Connor Wonder.
Wander, not Wonder.
Connor.
Come on.
Well, we do
Wanders.
wonder.
Yeah, I do that
But
too.
that's not the
But that's not
shtick.
that's not what I
Yeah.
lead with. You know.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
a necessary
Okay.
necessary part of life.
I wonder.
And then
All
yeah,
right.
pleasuremonkeylife.com is a nice hub for everything as well.
Hell yeah.
Dope.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
do it. Thank you, gents.
Yeah.
We're about
Thank
to
you,
turn it
guys.
up a
Have
notch.
fun.
Let's party.
Yeah, time to party.
Let's
Later,
do
guys.
it. Later, guys. And that's this week's episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you love the show, remember to head over to iTunes, subscribe, and leave a kind, loving 5-star review. It's very much appreciated. It helps the show go a long way. And if you want to be a part of random, crazy, insightful, and loving conversations just like this one, go to Facebook, search Pleasure Monkey Life, and request access to the Pleasure Monkey Life Facebook group. This is the place that I've created to help people share their authentic self. And, you know, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's heavy, but we always have a good time. I am live in there every week on Wednesdays, if not more. It's probably my favorite thing I do all week. I'm not going to lie, besides these podcasts, obviously. So head on over to Facebook, Pleasure Monkey Life. Hope to see you there, and have a fucking amazing rest of your day. Peace.